Are you fed up of writing down your goals every year and then losing that piece of paper and all your motivation to go along with it? So stick around to find out my 4-step process for meeting and reaching any of your goals. Here we go. What's up everybody? Welcome to our channel where we talk about every possible way to take your time back and to make every moment a great moment. So here's the thing about reaching goals. It's very similar towards planning an event where you have to map out your timeline and write down all of your landmarks and start having a big vision towards where exactly you're going. So the thing is, everybody knows how to set goals. Of course, the issue is how do you actually reach them? Now, I know that you've seen every YouTube video on this topic where people tell you to jot down SMART goals, make sure that your goals are written somewhere where you can see them every day, create a vision board, read autobiographies of other successful people who have reached goals, read self-improvement books. These are all amazing ways to reach your goals and to try to work towards them. But today I'm showing you a different fail-proof 4-step plan so that you can reach any of your goals in a reasonable amount of time with minimal stress and anxiety. Now, of course, many people try to set new goals for themselves on January the 1st, on New Year's Day. But here's the thing, guys. Any day is a good day to set and reach a goal. Now, January 1st is literally just a landmark to mark when the Earth has made one turn around the sun. There's no other relevance behind it. So I like to set goals, yes, on January the 1st. I also like to set new goals and revamp and refresh the old ones around my birthday, which is in the middle of the year. If you're buying gifts, I like dangling earrings and bangles, and I like the color pink. Now, I know what you're thinking. Every year you set goals, then one day you wake up and it's December the 31st and half of your goals have fallen by the wayside. So don't beat yourself up about that because that happens to every single one of us. It doesn't mean that you're lazy and it doesn't mean that you're incapable of achieving goals. It basically means that you have not found that alignment between what is your motivation to reach the goal and the actual steps that are needed to get there. So that's what we're going to learn today. Now, before we get started, for the purpose of this exercise, I want you to think about one goal that you want to achieve this year. So it could be anything like losing 10 pounds, or planning your wedding, or getting a new job, or getting a new car, or planning a graduation party for somebody. So go ahead and think of something, and then we'll go on with our exercise. Great! Now that you've taken a million years to think about your idea and your goal for this year, let's use my example for this purpose of this exercise, which is to plan a baby shower for one of my friends. So here we go with step 1. Now, step 1 is already going to be a little different from what you've probably previously heard about goal setting. So step 1 is to take your goal and then to break it down into 3 separate categories. One is physical resources, second is human resources, and the third category is financial resources. So what you are going to list in each of these categories is the different resources that you need to have in order to reach your goal. So they're all very self-explanatory, but for the purpose of this exercise, let's pretend that my goal is to plan a baby shower. So physical resources that I might need, for example, are the venue, some gifts for the guests to take away, maybe a gift for the mom-to-be, food and drinks for all of the guests, a cake to cut. Those are some of the physical resources. I would need all of that to make my goal achievable. Second, human resources. Who are the people that I need to have in front of me to be able to make this goal possible? One might be a friend who's planned a baby shower before, so I can get some advice from her. I need the mom-to-be to be there. The guests are another resources, possibly the family of the mom-to-be, and a person who's going to give me a venue. Those are all the people that I need to have in order to make my goal possible. Lastly, let's look at the financial resources. That could be anything like I need to have money for the food and drinks, I need to be able to pay for the venue, I need to be able to pay for a cake, and that list could go on. So in this way, you are breaking down your goal into these 3 different categories and you are mapping out in front of you all the things that you would have to have available to you in order to make your goal feasible and achievable. Now guys, I'm a person that loves to do everything on the computer, so that's why I have this as an Excel document. But you could just as easily create this type of a timeline in your Word document, or just written on a piece of paper somewhere, or you could use Post-it notes and stick it to the wall. So whatever works for you, just go ahead and do it like that. So on our Excel document, we have our 3 categories. Before we do anything, let's put in the end date of the goal that we're working towards, just so that we can move our planning along. In the category for physical resources, just go ahead and list out all the items that you think that you will need to have in order to make your goal come true. Do the same for all the categories and put down your human resources and also what you consider to be the financial resources. At this stage in the planning, it's important not to get too bogged down in writing them in any particular order. It's meant to be just a brain dump of all of your ideas. Now, if your goal for this year is something like a weight loss plan, if you want to lose maybe 10 pounds or so, you can use an Excel document like this. Again, put down the end date of when you're hoping to lose some weight by, and start listing out all your physical, human, and financial resources. The most important thing at this stage is just to get all of your ideas out. Don't spend too much time thinking of all the minute details. Just put down the big topics in no particular order. Once everything is in front of you, it'll be a lot easier to start to sort them according to priority. Step 2 is to prioritize each of those sub-items in those categories in order from the most vital to possibly negligible. So that means within each category, you are going to organize everything from top to bottom, starting with the items that you absolutely have to have in order to reach that goal. And you're going to list it all the way down and reorder it until at the bottom of your list, you're going to be left with a couple items that even if you get rid of those items and don't actually get them for yourself, that you could still possibly achieve your goal. Like for example, let's say that within my physical resources, an absolutely vital item there is a venue. I absolutely have to have a venue. On the other hand, a possibly negligible item could be takeaway gifts for the guests. Now, if we don't have takeaway gifts for the guests, it's not the end of the world. We could still have the shower. It would be nice to have, but on the other hand, we have to be realistic when going through this list. There might be some things that you could do away with. Doesn't mean that we're actually doing away with it, but we're just mapping it out and putting it in order from most important to possibly can be gotten rid of. In step 1, we were simply brainstorming all the different items that come under every category. Now in step 2, we have the opportunity to put them all in order so that at a glance, every time you are working towards your goal, you can see quickly from the top of your list what are the items that you absolutely have to have. And it's a reminder to you that you have to work on those items, otherwise your goal will not be achievable. Closer to the bottom of each of your lists, you can see the items that you can put aside for another day, and if they don't particularly work out, you could still achieve your goal. If you're working on the weight loss plan, and if that's your goal for this year, then you could use this Excel document with the same process. Once you start moving items around, you'll see that in fact, you could be able to achieve your goal if you just prioritize which items you are working on first, second, and third, and be willing to let go of items that might be lower priority. Step 3 is what I consider to be at the crux of this entire 4-step process, because this is what is going to be the determining factor, in my opinion, of whether you actually successfully complete that goal or have it sort of stop and fall to the wayside midway. So this is what it is. Step 3 is about identifying all the different items in each category that are considered to be low-hanging fruit. So now what does that mean? If you're standing under an apple tree and you reach up for the lowest hanging branch and grab all the apples there, that is considered the lowest hanging fruit, meaning it is the thing that is the most accessible to you and you can easily reach for it and get it without a whole lot of time and without a whole lot of effort. Now, the reason why this is an important step, and it's at the very, very hinging corners of this entire 4-step process, is because the number one reason why many of us have a difficult time actually reaching our goals, even though they might be attainable goals that are not completely unreasonable, is because somewhere through the process, we lose the confidence to keep going. That's what it all falls apart on. So when we have the confidence to keep trying and we feel like, okay, you know what? We are making progress here. We are making headway. It is possible to keep going. It is possible for me to reach that goal. When we have that confidence, then we will most likely be able to reach it. So we can see this in history. When we watch successful people who have tried to reach goals and successfully reach them, it is often their confidence that was the driving factor to take them from point A to Z. This is why if you go after the low-hanging fruit, that basically starts to build your momentum. It keeps you active. It means that you are working towards your goal without a whole lot of overwhelming anxiety around it. You know, when you're trying to work towards something and all of a sudden you just get completely burned out and overwhelmed and burdened by the number of things that you have to do in order to make that goal possible? So that is very true. Many of the items that are within our goal reaching list, they are very hard. They do take energy. Sometimes they take time and money. We require help from other people. But somewhere on that list, you will have things that you could just do in a couple of hours. Like, for example, in my example of planning a baby shower, something like ordering a cake or ordering takeaway gifts for the guests, those are all things that in fact I could do within a couple of hours. I could do it in a couple of hours. It doesn't take days and days and days. Something like putting together the guest list or reserving the venue, those all take longer time. Those would not be items that I consider low-hanging fruit. On the other hand, ordering a cake, deciding a color theme, deciding what takeaway gifts I want to give to people, those are all things that I could do tomorrow. Once I do them tomorrow, what is going to happen? That means I'm going to come back to my document. I'm going to mark them off as being done. Next thing I know, my document, which started with 15 items that I need to do to reach my goal, all of a sudden, 5 of them might be done. 5 out of 15 items might have been low-hanging fruit, things that I could just very easily achieve, and I just did them. 5 out of 15 is what? That's 1/3 of my list. So that means with hardly any effort, I already knocked off 33% of my goal. So that is huge. That is something to be happy about, and that is going to drive your confidence forward to keep working on the rest of your list. And finally, step 4 is to access someone who has successfully reached that goal before you. And that doesn't mean like accessing a celebrity and saying, yo, can you help me out? That's not going to happen. Access a real life person who you know. Go through your Facebook list, go through your Instagram list and your phone book. Find somebody that you think has successfully achieved that goal or something similar to it and reach out to them. So when you reach out to them, 2 magical things are going to happen. One is that you are now making yourself accountable because you are articulating out loud to somebody else that you are working on a goal similar to what they have already achieved. Immediately, that will put you into a place of a little bit more pressure because you will know that now somebody else is aware that you are working towards this goal, and it will keep you driving forward. It's one thing when you're sitting in the dark and telling yourself that you have a goal and nobody knows about it. Because really, whether you achieve it or not, nobody's going to know. So it's just as easy not to achieve it, and only you know. Once somebody else knows about it, it does add a little bit of good pressure to you. The second magical thing that's going to happen is that that person is going to be very flattered that you thought of them and that you acknowledged and recognized that they have achieved a goal that they were working towards. And you know what? Everyone loves to talk about themselves. So when you call them up and you say, yo, I'm working towards this thing. I heard that you already did this once. Can you give me any feedback? Do you think I'm on the right track? They are going to love to talk and talk and talk and talk about how they achieved that goal and all the things that they did. Here's a great thing that's going to follow this. That person is going to be able to help you identify any major mistakes that you might be about to make or that you may have already made in your list of activities that you are working towards. Because remember that that person has successfully achieved their goal. Believe me when I say that they didn't do it by accident or by any type of magic. they probably made a handful of mistakes while they were on their journey. So if that is a good-hearted person and you've picked a nice person, that guy or girl is going to be able to identify for you some major areas of things that you can avoid, and you can save yourself a whole heck of a lot of time by not making those mistakes if they identify them for you in the first place. And guess what else is going to happen? Because this happens to me all the time. Whenever I tell somebody that I'm working on something and I ask them for a little bit of feedback because I know that they've done this before, everywhere I go in this town, I bump into that person and they always ask me, oh, how's it going with X? Or how's it going with Y? So when they keep publicly asking me or sending me a text message once in a while and saying, how is it going with this? It keeps reminding me that I have to keep working on this goal because they are going to keep bugging me for information about it. And in fact, I want to achieve the goal and I want to prove to other people that I am in fact capable of achieving it. So that is another magical little thing that's going to happen here in step 4. So there you have it, my 4-step foolproof way to reach and meet any of your goals. Now, if you like the Excel document that I was working on, you're more than welcome to download your own copy from the link in the description below. So you can customize it to enter in all of the details of the goals that you are working on. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you want to keep learning more time-saving tips. I'd love if you would share this video with any of your friends or family members who you think are working on some goals and could use an extra tablespoon of help in that regard. So see you next time, and remember to make every moment a great moment.